Well, part of the mental game that I wanted to chat with you about, Sav, are these crazy panic attacks that you get. So I was like preparing to write the story, having the story be Diana and Lexi because they qualified before you guys in Poland. And they have a funny story because they bought the flight last second, go over there. Lexi hits Kylie in the head so hard that she has to forfeit. Like only Lexi Denenberg can do that to another blocker.
Beast.
And so I'm like, all right, perfect. Easy story. Sav qualifies. Let's get like a quick quote from Sav. And then you come back. You had a panic attack on the plane. You had a panic attack in the middle of a match. You had a panic attack at night. And I was like, well, that probably would have been a story. I was already written. So what, can you just give a rundown of like what goes on? Like what happens?
Yeah. And I'll preface it with like, it's hard for people to explain or for people to understand if they've never like had panic attacks really before. These are things that have been happening to me for years, and I feel like I've gotten super good at managing. I posted about it, but doing the 75 hard thing was awesome. Like I think I had like one panic attack that whole time. So I'll give kind of the whole story. I haven't been drinking very much because I noticed during 75 hard that kind of like started sending me. Like drinking causes anxiety, depression, all these things, and I started just journaling lots of things that have triggered me, and drinking's for sure one of them. Lack of sleep is one of them.
Yeah, my whoop just like
it's like you're
automatic. With alcohol.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So my heart rate if I go on a couple drinks and sleep, my heart rate will be like average of like 78.
Yeah.
Like average. It's like so bad. It's so bad.
Straight poison.
And so before we left, Evan and Abby, they were like, let's do a wine and cheese night. And for some reason, that just seemed like the greatest. Like, that is like my happy.
Right.
Like,
that's true.
That is my favorite.
Drinking wine
with friends with a cheese board. Evan's cooking steak. It's sunset. It's summertime. I could not be happier. Like, nothing could make you. If my dog was there, that could be the only thing that could make me happier. Like, literally, I was so. You can ask Evan. I was like crying. It just sounded like the best night ever.
Yeah.
And I had like 2 glasses of wine, 2 or 3 maybe, like not even that much. I wasn't hungover. My Oura ring showed like my heart rate was pretty high, but I got on the plane the next day, and I don't like flying either because, which this may be crazy to people, but like I have super bad health anxiety. That's where my anxiety stems from. Like I don't really stress. I don't like have panic attacks about volleyball. I never had panic attacks about like exams. I have panic attacks about like dying. So this is kind of dark. Sorry to anyone listening, but like that's like it's many people's biggest fears is death, obviously, but mine is like so. I am a very extroverted, exaggerated person, and so like my thoughts are that same way too. Okay. So like if I have a headache, I'm having a brain aneurysm. If my chest hurts, I'm having a heart attack. Like there's no in between. And I've always been like that. If my parents don't answer the phone, they died in a car accident. That's how I was when I was like little, like crazy stuff like that, like crazy extreme. So, I got on the plane. Well, that morning I woke up and my legs were just feeling so sore. I lifted the day before, but they were feeling really like swollen and like weird. And I was like, it must have been from drinking, because I haven't been drinking very much. So I felt just like really inflamed, and I kind of was worried about the flight. I'm like, I have a 12-hour flight today. Like, I don't know. I put my feet up and I Normatec and whatever. And about like 4 hours into the flight, my legs were so swollen, and I don't get that kind of like. My ankles get a little swollen when I fly, but I've never worn compression anything because I usually don't have that problem like some people do. I don't really get like that. And my legs were so swollen. I was so uncomfortable. My shoulders felt swollen. I was like, what is wrong with me? And I'm on the flight with Abby and her mom and grandma. They're all on the plane. I'm sitting kind of on my own. But they're on the plane, which is great. I like flying with people because like I've had this irrational fear. Like I get a chest pain or I get something which leads to a panic attack, which makes you feel like you're going to die even more because you can't breathe. Right. You're shaking, your heart's racing, you feel like you're going to pass out. So you feel like you're going to die anyways. And then you're on a plane.
Yeah.
I'm like,
good spot.
What if I'm actually dying and I'm in this airplane over the Atlantic Ocean? I'm dead.
Right.
Like that thought that goes into my head like all the time. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And I've gotten for the amount of times I've flown, like I've gotten so much better at that. But like, if I get a chest pain or a headache or nausea or whatever, I'm like, I've had this before. I haven't died. I'm probably gonna be okay. Like I've gone to that point in my life where some things kind of trigger me still. If I drink or I'm on my period or something like that, like I'm not as clear. Like it's hard. Sometimes that exacerbates things, but I've never had this like inflammation. And so I got up and I kind of walked around and I just felt like my heart was racing. So I was like, okay, I'm having a little panic attack. Like I've never felt like this before. I'm going to walk around. It's going to go away in like 10 minutes. I'll be fine. Meanwhile, Abby is asleep. Abby, her mom, and the grandma, cute. We call her Q-Tip. She's awesome. She's upstairs in business class, like thriving. So I'm kind of on my own. Double decker.
That's fun.
So I'm like, I'm going to take a couple laps. I'll be fine. And I go to the flight attendant. I'm just like shooting the shit with her. She's so nice talking. And I'm like, I don't know why I asked this. Like this was like recipe for disaster. But I'm like, she's also fully, I think Lufthansa is a German airline, right? Where are they based? Swiss? I don't know. She's foreign, but she can speak decent English. So I'm like, hey, do you ever get like, I was thinking she would talk me off the ledge.
Right.
I'm like, do you ever get like swollen? Like you're like, she's like, yeah, that's super normal and whatever. I'm like, yeah, she's like, yeah, it can be really dangerous though. I'm like, she's like, not for you because you're young and healthy, but you know, you could die. Like some older people could get the blood clots, and she didn't know how to say it, but I knew what she was talking about, and I fucking lost it. I was like, I'm gonna die. So I kept taking laps, and I didn't want to wake up Abby because she's sleeping. I ended up having to wake her up, and for me, sometimes just telling someone I'm having a panic attack just kind of makes it go away.
Yeah, because then someone
just like a release. Yeah, it's just a release. Right? Exactly.
Worst comes to worst, they're gonna tell someone.
Yeah.
And
but I spent like 35 minutes like walking the plane. Like I actually went up. I somehow snuck into business class to go talk to grandma. She was asleep. She like never sleeps on planes, and she having me asleep. So I was like, I have to wake up Abby. I woke her up, and it was fine. But that was like a rough start to the trip. I haven't had a panic attack on a plane in a long time, and so that was kind of like. And of course, I'm looking at the map, and we're just going over the ocean. I'm like, if I'm actually having an issue, I'm so screwed. Like we're not over. So I'm like, if we're over land, they could land, and I might live. It's so messed up. Then I go. We get there. Everything's great. I don't sleep the whole night. I don't sleep. I don't do well with the jet lag. And then I get in Ostrava last year. I don't know if you remember this. I didn't sleep. I was traveling with Tony. I didn't sleep for 5 days, 5 full nights straight.
Remember that?
No sleep.
Where was that again?
Ostrava.
In Ostrava.
So we land in Prague. I've never also had like a jet lag sleep thing. I've also traveled with Evan a lot. So like we fly to all these places. Life's great. I'm with my boyfriend. I don't sleep on the plane. I knock out. I'm already on the time zone. Life is good. But I go to Ostrava. Evan's not there. And the first night in Prague, I didn't sleep. And I think it was because like, I don't know, obviously the jet lag, but I slept a bit on the plane, and then Evan's home and everyone at home's awake. So I'm kind of like, my brain's just on. So the next night and the next day, I feel very anxious. Like when I don't sleep, I get more anxious. So it's kind of this like horrible spiral thing that happens. And so the next night I got this like pit in my stomach because I wanted to sleep so bad that I was like panicking that I wasn't sleeping. And that went for like 5 days. No sleep.
That's brutal.
No. And I'm laying there like, people are always like, have you tried this? I'm like, when you're up at 4 a.m. for the 4th night in a row, you've tried everything, every meditation app, every breathing exercise, cold shower, warm shower, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the couch, sleeping in the bed, like headphones, no headphones, movie, book, anything, and you still can't sleep. Like I felt like I needed to go to a psych ward. Like I was like so not okay. And then I played. This is still in Ostrava. And I played well. Like we lost to Carol and Barbara in the last round to get in, and sucked to lose, but we played well. And I ended up coming home. And I got some meds. I don't take meds for my anxiety because I don't want to. I don't want to be reliant. In my opinion, I think meds are awesome for people, but for me, like I don't respond very well to medication, and I think it's actually kind of more of a Band-Aid versus like I want to solve the problem. But yeah, it was just another situation like that. I go and I don't sleep. I take a Xanax. I'm prescribed it. I don't need a TUE. Like I'm all clear. I take it. It doesn't really help me sleep. The next day, I don't sleep again till like 5 a.m. And then finally at like 4 or 5 a.m., I fall asleep for like 3 hours. So I feel like a crazy person, like not sleeping. And then that day we actually ended up switching hotels because there was no AC in the one we were in. And that obviously makes your sleep worse. And I had a really bad panic attack that night because I just felt very, they call it like dissociation. The best way I can explain it is like when you wake up from a like 4-hour nap and you feel like you're in cuckoo land, you're like so out of it when you wake up from a long nap.
Nap hangover.
that's how I feel all the time.
Wow.
And when I get like anxious and stuff, I feel like that. And it feels like you're like going through the motions. And I felt like that for a long time. And I kind of just started panicking about it. And so I had a bad one that night. And then during the game against China, we're warming up and it's like kind of raining. We're on these like weird courts and it's been this weird weather delay. The lighting is super weird. And I think I was having like I don't know if it was like a sensory overload or my brain. Like I just felt that kind of super spacey feeling. Part of it's probably nerves too for the game. And I started the game like on fire. Like I'm playing phenomenal. The whole first set, I think it was like an adrenaline thing. And then like kind of the early part of the second set, that adrenaline kind of wears off and I start feeling that kind of foggy feeling again. And I give up like 5 points in a row. And then of course I'm like, shit, like check in, like you're playing a game. And I was so worried about I felt like numb almost. And that feeling for me is just super triggering as it would be for anyone. It's like a full dissociation from what you're doing. And you're like
such a large investment. You invested so much being in that moment, in that place, traveling physically, mentally, training. And you're like, this is how I'm going to feel?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair.
And I know, like, I haven't been sleeping and it's a new environment. And I was also like on my period. So I think that the hormones, like, I think it was just the perfect storm of things. I had a panic attack on the plane, like all these things. And I was able to like check back in and we won the match. But after I just crumbled because it was like to have to play a game and win a game when you're like feeling so like I have a stomach ache or I have a headache. I literally am like losing my mind. I'm like spiraling and it's not even about volleyball. But then of course, when you give up 5 points, you're like, F, like, then of course you're stressing about the game. Right. But I couldn't even think straight. I thought I was going to pass out. I thought I was going to die. I thought it was
survival mode.
I was in full survival mode. That's only happened a couple of the times while I've been playing. Usually when I play, that's kind of like my escape from all the anxiety and stuff. And funny story, we switched sides. I think I sided out and I was trying to I told Abby, of course, I'm like, hey, I'm like going through something right now. I don't feel well. Like I'm really out of it. I'm not very much there. And she was awesome. Great energy. And Chase and Miles and Kim Hildreth, and they're all there watching and cheering for us. It was so nice. We had a whole group. And I said, when I switched sides, I go back to serve and I said, I'm effing choking. And I said it to as a joke almost, because I was choking on the volleyball court. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I was trying to make a joke so that I could
just quick call yourself
anything
out.
To get my mind off of. And so Miles and they talked to me after the game and they gave me some really encouraging tips for the mental side of the game and how to talk more positively to myself. And I was so stoked that we've been working with Dan a little bit and I feel like we're kind of like him, Miles and Chase and me and Abby are a little team now and they cheering for us and we're cheering for them and it's actually really cool. They went out of their way to watch us and they were so nice, but I didn't know how to tell them that I wasn't stressed about the game and my volleyball performance. I was going through something that it's hard to explain to someone that's never been through it. How do you tell someone you're having of course I think I'm saying I'm choking because I'm sucking and they right. take that as I'm talking poorly to myself when in reality I'm so in my own head about something about my health, something about my mind, not even about volleyball, and I'm trying to make a joke and it's a weird twisted thing that's hard to explain unless you've been through it. And even if you have panic attacks, you may not even experience it the same way that I experience it and get that super foggy feeling. And yeah, so that just is a whole nother layer of what I go through. I get that feeling a lot. I get it a lot when I think a lot of it has to do with adrenaline and usually when you get super excited or nervous and there's adrenaline, you get shaky and you get all this certain way. Sometimes it actually sucks my energy. I think because I don't know.
You short circuit.
Yeah. And when I'm warming up, sometimes when I warm up for games that I'm really nervous for, I will be yawning and my eyes feel super heavy. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I falling asleep when I'm about to play a huge game? And I think it's a nerve thing that almost has the reverse effect almost. Yeah. And then, of course, I'm stressing about the way, like, why do I feel like this? Why am I so tired? Why am I so out of it? Why this? And then I have to go play against the best in the world. And it's just, like, so stupid. And it's so unfair because I wish I could just go and be nervous about the volleyball game. But
it's like, hey, how about we all play with this and see what happens? You guys have no idea what I'm going through.
You hear, like, oh, I was nervous, or oh, my back hurt, or oh, this. And I'm like, yeah, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
The whole match. And then I was also, like, really nervous because I am getting served every ball by Zoe and Esme and Laura and Louisa, who are, like, the best servers in the world. And I'm also having a panic attack. And it's just, I think I used to feel so sorry for myself. And now I've kind of framed it in a way where it's like, in a weird way, against China, I think I was playing well because I wasn't thinking about volleyball. I was thinking about, like literally, taking steps. Like, that's what was going through my mind. Like, I walked back to the player box at a timeout, and my arms felt, like, numb. Like, I felt like I was going to collapse. Like, that, and that's happened to me before, but it's like, when you're thinking about, like, taking every breath, like breathing and, like, walking, you're not really thinking about...
You're fully detached.
Volleyball. Fully detached. But then I'm still, like, passing well and siding out because that's, like... I've done it for so many years. Yeah. It's been really cool to see how I've been able to manage that stuff. And my mom and dad, like, they feel so bad because they see... I tell them, tell them, and they see it. And it's just crazy that I've been able to, like, manage this type of stuff. Usually off the court, but sometimes on the court, too. And I have to go to all these tournaments, and a lot of people don't sleep, and a lot of people get sick, and a lot of people do these, but I think sometimes mine's more heightened. Like, I really haven't slept. Like, you guys went to bed at 1 a.m. I went to bed at 5 a.m. and slept till 7. Like, and it's just, I've tried to, like, reframe it, and the more I've posted about it and talked about it, the more people have reached out and shared their stories, or, like, and that's really cool. And I think that's kind of become my why for all of this, not for playing volleyball, but just, a passion of mine is, like, helping people. And I didn't realize how big this was for me, and the majority of the population goes through anxiety, depression, panic to some extent. Maybe it's a one-off. I was so nervous for this game, or I was so nervous for this exam, I felt this, you know what I mean? But I've been trying to find this identity, not identity, but, like, an image, I guess. Like, for example, Evan has his blue nose thing. He's from Louisiana, and that's, like, his thing. And I've been trying to kind of find mine. And honestly, I think it's this niche and this, like, topic of mental health. And I don't want my whole identity to be like, I have anxiety, like, pity me, because that's not what I want. But I want to be able to, like, share my stories and help people. I thought of starting support groups, and I've thought of starting, like, little workshops and little things to, like, get people together to talk more about this stuff. And because sometimes just sharing your experience goes a really long way. And the weird saying, it's like misery loves company. Like, sometimes it's nice when someone's like, oh yeah,
for sure,
I felt that. Like, oh yeah, I've been like that. It's like,
well, it makes you feel like you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I'm sure that you probably thought that you were something of an exception.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only person who's, like, living this incredible life, and then I have panic attacks. Well, guess who also has them? Zanamuno.
Yeah.
Has them all the time.
Yeah.
Huntington was, like, the first tournament that she hasn't had a panic attack in years.
Yeah. It's just
it happens.
It's so messed up. It's so, like, and then I get jealous too. I get jealous of people who don't, like, get this.
Have the roadblocks that you.
I get jealous, and I get angry, and I'm like, why me? For a long time, it was like, why me? 2022, I think it was 2023, beginning of 2023, end of 2022 was like one of the lowest points of my whole life, because I was so. It turned into like a depression almost. Like, anxiety and depression are best friends, and so a lot of it kind of goes hand in hand. I like to think I'm, like, the happiest person ever.
Yeah, right.
But it kind of goes together. And this is a kind of sponsor shout out to Root and Fruit Nutrition. This lady Sarah, we did my DNA testing, and that came back, a lot of interesting things there. But I really wanted to do the neurotransmitter hormone test, and we did that, and it was like the most eye-opening thing for me, because her text when she got the results was, "You're not crazy." And just seeing that message was probably one of the best text messages, one of the best things I've ever heard in my entire life, because we went back and we looked at all the stuff, and she's like, my levels were like so.
So
your levels of
what was this?
I want to pull it up. It was my neurotransmitters.
Okay.
So it's, why can't I think of it? My phone's over there. It's not cortisol. There's another glutamate. Glutamate.
Okay.
Is like your excitatory neurotransmitter. Yeah. It's your excitatory neurotransmitter. And mine, the range, let's see if I can pull it up right now, to see how messed up I was, was crazy. My estrogen was like way high. Like little things like that you don't really, I'm not signed into this account. I can kind of explain it. But so glutamate's your excitatory neurotransmitter, like I said. And the normal range was between like 500 and 1,000 or 1,500 micrograms or whatever the range. Mine was at 5,500, like way high. Serotonin, that's like your happy level. Mine was like way low, which is crazy because I feel like I'm a pretty positive,
for sure, 100%.
happy person.
Yep.
And my estrogen was super high. So like there's these little things that we kind of gathered that was so awesome to see, because I'm like, wow, these things are this way I feel this way for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't always make me feel better, but it's like, at least I know there's a problem. For the longest time, it was just like, you're fine. You're this, take a Xanax.
You're
take
almost
this.
questioning your personality, right? You're like,
100%.
I believe I'm this person, but then why am I'm not an anxious, like, the feeling, I feel the same way a lot of the time. I'm like positive, chill guy, right? And then you get these things, you're like, well, why am I anxious all the time? Or why am I depressed? That's not me.
Yeah.
So it's like identifying it's like it's like an identity crisis. So you're like, but I'm not this person.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, am I? And it starts to like tempt you to change your personal reality of yourself.
And it makes me like,
until you realize that, oh, this isn't, like, there's nothing I can do about
it.
This
like there's actual there's chemical imbalances in my brain and in my body. I've also learned that like your gut holds like a ton of like neurotransmitters and serotonin and all these things. Like your gut and mind health is all kind of connected. And I have IBS, which is such a stupid thing. It's like, you have irritable bowel syndrome. What does that mean? Like, no, it's like, same thing with anxiety.
Yep.
It's this whole massive term that's like, you could have any of these 50 symptoms.
Right.
And we're going to call it this like one thing.
Right. Exactly.
And there's nothing you can really do about it.
Exactly.
You just have it. So I've had IBS for however long.
Right.
Just all these stomach things. Not celiac, not Crohn's, nothing like that, but just IBS. Yeah.
That's boring.
And then I have anxiety. And it's like, many symptoms. Can you do something? You can take medication. Will it help? Maybe.
You can't attach to these labels like...
Exactly.
It's like me with my myositis, dermatomyositis. Google it.
Yeah.
People with spots and rashes and like, you can't go in the sun. I'm like, when I read that, I was like, what do you mean?
You're screwed.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm moving to Mars or something. But even to this day, it's like, me looking up the definition and different symptoms of myositis isn't helpful at all.
No.
It's like literally just a name, so I can tell the doctor, like, and they're like, oh, okay, generally this is kind of what happens with people like that. It's like to give them a starting point.
Yeah.
That's like how accurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've gone to the doctor, I'm not like a critic, like I don't go to the doctor all the time, but like I went in high school, I faint, and my heart, like I think it was a panic attack. My heart was racing out of control, got to like 180 and I passed out. And I go to the doctor and I go to EKGs and heart ultrasounds and all that, like, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like,
it's almost pisses you off more, right?
Yeah. I've wanted to have a solution to this problem because I talked to my dad a lot about it because he like kind of gets it, but he's also just so understanding, and he'll let me like talk about these crazy symptoms I get, and he'll be like, okay, that's okay. Like, he doesn't ever make me, the worst thing is when I'm like, have you ever felt this way? And they're like, no, that's so weird.
Right.
Like, okay, great. I'm dying. Or crazy. Get some things wrong with me.
Yeah.
So like, I've always had him, and my mom's great too, but you know, he just listens so well, and he has a way of making me feel like I'm not crazy. And so for so long, I've just known that I've had a problem and I've always just wanted answers, and to just kind of have answers, even if the solution isn't like, because with Sarah, with Rootin' for Nutrition, like she's on the same page as me. Like, we don't need to take medication, but we can add supplements or like add or remove foods in your diet that like can help increase this or decrease this. And that's why I think 75 Hard was so great for me, because I cut out added sugars, I cut out alcohol, I cut out gluten, and I added reading and meditation and more workouts and this. And it was like, I feel the best I've ever felt in my entire life. And now everything in moderation, of course. Like, now I know, okay, if I drink wine, I may be super anxious or feel a certain way the next day. And now I know, like, there's a time and a place to do it. Maybe I should only do it on special occasions.
Getting heightened too with our age.
Yep.
I had wine the other night at a wedding. Same thing. It's like, that was not a lot of wine. Why do I feel
terrible?
So bad?
Yeah. In college, I never, like, I used to rage and never, I'd go, like, play.
College never isn't real life.
It's not real life. And I, like, am not that far. I'm 25. I'm like, I shouldn't be having all these problems, I guess. I don't know. But it's just been so eye-opening to see. And me and my dad have talked about this a lot. Like, he's like, everyone has, what does he call it? He puts it in a really nice way, where, like, everyone has problems, and this is yours. Like, disadvantages. And I, like I said, I would get so angry and so jealous of people who didn't have anxiety. But if you look at all the other, like, problems you could have, like, I am healthy. Yeah. I may not feel like it.
Maybe this is your moment too, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's happening to this person in their 30s.
Exactly.
It's happening to you in your 20s. You're going to get through it and then be on a good path. And, life is so long. Like, to think that
so crazy.
This is my thing and it's always going to be here, and I'm always going to be at a disadvantage to everyone else. It's like, caring about what other people's opinions are of you, but also, like, assuming what everyone else is going through at the same time. It's
right. There's way bigger problems than what I'm going through in the world. And that's the thing with my anxiety. It's like, I may have these issues for the rest of my life, but it's all a perspective, right? And shifting your mindset of, like, okay, I have this, and how can I turn anxiety into a superpower?
Yeah.
Almost.